Started. So, welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on HelixGPT product strategy and roadmap. We're focusing on APAC and India. For those that aren't aware, we did run this session a couple of weeks ago and we did it for the EMEA and US region with great success. So, we wanted to offer this also out to the APAC and India region. And joining me today, I've got Jürgen Hauser, our Senior Director of Product Management. We have Dale Jones, Manager of Practice Lead. And then we have Shanice, our Associate Consultant. They will do their formal introductions later. But before we get started, just a reminder that you will remain muted. We will have an opportunity towards the end, roughly around 10 to 15 minutes, where we will open up to live Q&A. So in the interim, if you do have any questions about the demo, anything to do with the slides, if you can put that in the Q&A section of Zoom, which you will find at the bottom, and then we will take that to the live Q&A or try to answer as we go along. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jürgen to get us started, and over to you, Jürgen.
Thanks, Sam, and hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. This is a roadmap session, so I'm going to start with a quick legal notice. We are sharing forward-looking information, and forward-looking information is subject to change. We are in product development, we are designing features, we are collecting feedback from our customers, and based on that, we could change it. Or if they do not make a release due to, for example, our rigorous QA testing, they might be delayed by a release. This is the agenda that we've prepared for you today. So I'm going to kick this off talking about the open platform for agentic AI. This is our strategy in the product development. Then I want to do a review of recent innovations, what is available for you today that you can get started with right away, pretty much, if you're on the correct version. I want to also talk about the near-term roadmap. I don't want to go too far out, but I want to give you a clear understanding what BMC Helix is going to deliver during the remainder of this year. Then we will talk about customer success with this solution and the Helix GPT capabilities. So what we are talking about is in production use by our customers actually since last year. So not all of our customers, but our highly innovative customers jumped on this topic fairly early last year, and they are live and benefit from these solutions. And as Sam mentioned, we will have a few minutes at the end of the session to talk about Q&As and provide answers to your questions here. So let me get started with the open platform Agentic AI. This is our key roadmap strategy, product strategy regarding agentic AI agents. And I want to start with what is our mission, right? Our mission in product development. So the key thing we want to achieve is we actually want to enable users of our software to be more productive. We want to unlock their potential. And for that, we took a look at what is the current state and where are we spending time on, right? This is a very generic slide that applies not only to BMC Helix, but could be applied to a lot of other areas, right? If you look at where we are spending time, low complexity work, and we're spending our time here, and there is a lot of work we are not getting to, right? The higher complexity, the higher value related to it, this is work we are not getting to. And what we are looking at with our strategy for Helix GPT is actually how can we move the work that we are actually working on, the work that we will do to the upper right and have our agents do the low complexity work, for example, right? This is also work that we are not really eager to do, kind of in an example for ITSM, if you go in and have to fill in, for example, your resolution notes, We looked at data and we saw like often it was like done or just the character period, etc. These are some indications that there is work required that users actually do not want to do. And so we look at the AI agents that they help us get our job done, right? We are not looking at this of reducing headcount in an organization or in the ITSM service desk. We want to up level the work, right? We want to get to more higher value work that we are currently not getting to. So that is our mission. And the next thing we do is we look at our applications, right? How do our applications currently look like? One of the things is that in our apps, the majority is the application and AI is just a small slice of it. What are we doing in our applications? We work with forms, with lists, we have workflows that are running. We go and look at dashboards, create dashboards. We talk about integrations. We have a partner ecosystem with solution add-ons. But the real key thing here is that the majority is in today's application, right? Where the value is, right? We're looking at a future state, right? We are transitioning away from apps to agents, the agents that do the work for us, right? And help us get our daily job done. That is actually tomorrow's value proposition. And the applications are not going away, but the applications get smaller and smaller, right? So it flips basically, right? The AI part becomes bigger and bigger. It's agentic AI, generative AI, what everyone is talking about. But the apps are the back end part, for example, still stays there, right? It's just a different way how we are accessing it. And then the other key thing here is that we look at all the technology providers, and especially for us here at BMC Helix, it is super important to stay open. We have different compute providers, we have different models that we want to support, and there are data clouds, etc. We want to provide an open architecture, and we also call it bring your own compute and large language model. We hear from customers that they, for example, already have an agreement in place with Microsoft Azure, and they ask us at BMC Helix, well, if we use this, do we burn down our commitment to Microsoft with using this generative AI in BMC Helix? And the good news is we can say yes to this answer, right? So it also simplifies your world because you do not have to discuss again things like data's privacy, security that you already discussed, for example, with Microsoft Azure, and we are not forcing our customers to get another model, another compute, for example, from BMC. So you can bring what you already own. Okay. Now, with this transition to agents, we start focusing really on the role that different employees have. We tell our product managers, for example, that they should now look at certain roles, right? And here we have an HR worker, we have a service desk worker, etc., a case worker in business workflows, right? And we look at the role and we have use cases, what are they working on, and how can we actually go in and optimize this? And well, here is where our HelixGPT agents comes into the picture, right? The HR worker can be complemented by an HR coordinator, right? This is the agent that helps this worker, right? And then you can go in and look at the use cases, right? Instead of manually reading knowledge articles, manually answer questions, an Helix GPT agent can generate answers, for example, related to policies automatically for this worker. We can even go in and automatically respond to email queries, right? Directly responding to an email. This is a functionality that's available in business workflows, and that deflects cases. Then we can do automated onboarding and offboarding of employees. And well, manage a lot of that through these agents so that they happen automatically in the background. Okay. So we talked about agents, right? And agents are really important. The agents I mentioned does work for the human. And based on that, we actually defined a number of actions. And the first one is summarize, right? Summarizing certain things like an incident, the description of an incident makes it really easy to understand. Reading through a summary instead of going through the activity log, the description, maybe the resolution, etc. Right? We have situations on the AI ops side, and we have things like the root cause where we can just go in and provide a summary, which is very brief and doesn't require us to spend a lot of time understanding what's going on. We can do recommendations, so an agent can go in and take a look at, for example, what happened in the past, like incidents, situations. It can look at knowledge articles and then create a recommendation. So that means that the agent doesn't have to figure out what should I do next. The agent can get a recommendation. Then generative AI is able to create things. The generative AI can create code to remediate an issue. It could actually create a knowledge article. It can create a description of a best practice. We can create workflows, etc. The create capability is very powerful for these agents. We can automate, we can make the decision to run specific codes, to run specific scripts, to automatically remediate something. We can do the collection of data, classification of data in the back end automatically. We can make the decision to create an incident or a change and do that for the agent. We can make predictions, right? We can take a look at what happened in the past. We can take a look at what's currently happening in our systems, right? Observability as one of the keywords here. And then we can make a prediction what could happen to a specific resource or a service. And then we can leverage I would say, the power of service ops to actually avoid degradation of the service that we are providing to our users. And last but not the least, the conversational capability is key. This is what we all know and how this whole thing got really popular. The chat GPT, where you start to have a conversation and you can ask questions, you get answers, and you can actually trigger these actions as part of a conversation. Okay, now we talked about the roles, the agents, which actions these agents can take, and that leads to BMC Helix Service Ops, right? Really important service ops. That's the service management and the operations managed part coming together, enabling more powerful use cases. We broke down the silos in our portfolio many, many years ago, and we are now powering this by HelixGPT. Let me take a look at what does the bigger picture look like. Then I just talked about service ops. The service ops is front and center here for us, and we talked about the actions that help us in the service ops space. And then around this, we have different areas in our BMC Helix portfolio. On the top, service management. And we have key agents, right? For example, a service collaborator, right? A proactive problem solver. And please note that not all are available yet, but this is kind of our vision on how we are developing this. This is a fleet of agent, and release over release, we are adding more agents to our fleet here. Right, service collaborator. Then, if I continue, SecOps and compliance, a CMDB governor that looks at the quality of the CMDB, DORA governor, the banking area, for example, where compliance is a key, right? Insight finder in AI ops, situation observer, a service mapper that helps creating the mapping to services, right? An employee navigator, one of our key agents. That was also the first one that was available over a year ago, which looks at the employee experience, engagement, ticket deflection. We are building an agent studio and a knowledge curator that we are going to talk about later in this presentation as well. So this is really key. We talked about the openness of the platform. One key thing here is the deployment. So we are supporting Azure, we are supporting Google Cloud Platform, we are supporting AWS, we are supporting OCI, it's not on the slide, but the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, as well as on-prem. And we are building our software as containers, and we're running the same software on all of these different platforms. Another key thing I want to highlight is that we do not create, or we did not create a SKU, a specific SKU to get started with this AI. Depending on the SKU you're on, you're already getting access to specific AI capabilities, and you can start using that right away. And it's about your AI, your data. So I talked about that you bring your large language model. If your data is in Snowflake, or if your data is a policy document on SharePoint, we want to leverage this information, and we do not want you to copy data into the BMC Helix platform. It stays where it currently is. And last but not the least, it is super important to us how end users access our agents. Very obviously, it can be done through our UI. That is definitely a possibility. But we have lots of customers that ask us about Microsoft Teams support, Microsoft Copilot support, or Google Gemini, right? So our strategy is that we want to provide our functionalities in the tools where our customers' users are sitting. Okay, very important part of our strategy. Now I want to transition to what we call recent innovations and the near-term roadmap. In this section, I want to discuss the agents that are, or some of the agents that are already available, and I want to show you for two agents a vision demo, which is a screen recording. I'm going to talk a little bit too. Okay, let's start with what I already mentioned, Employee Navigator, right? So the role is the employee. So this is the end user in an organization of our customers, and the navigator helps them with their self-service, right? So to speak, navigating the self-service landscape here, right? And our idea is that, hey, such an employee navigator, like a self-service portal, should be available anytime and anywhere, and easily accessible in the web portal, on the different channels like WhatsApp or Microsoft Teams. And we want to provide a natural language conversation. That is the converse action that we had on the slide with the 6 actions. And it is available also in our web UI. So it augments digital workplace. You can see this on the screenshot here on the right-hand side. We have a really nice blade. We have an icon in the navigation bar that can be used to turn on and off this blade. And this blade also remembers conversations from the past, so that you're not always starting from scratch. Then the first key use case that we deployed with Employee Navigator was chat with your knowledge. We did this even before raising requests, because chatting with your knowledge actually already is a very powerful use case when it comes to deflecting tickets, right? When your employees ask for specific things, they can actually now get the answer directly. That also redefines search. We have search in digital workplace and various other applications, but search, like with searching with Google, gives you a list of search results, and you still have to go in and figure out which of these search results actually answers my question. And this conversational generative AI completely redefined this, right? The generative AI is actually answering your questions. Then we built in the step that just talking or asking questions and getting answers might not completely solve your question, your query. So you can actually raise a request. So we built in an intelligent way to transition from this asking questions to submitting a request. And for that, we use our service catalog in Digital Workplace, where you have defined service requests, and then you just go in and the employee navigator submits the request on behalf of the user. As I mentioned, this is rolled out to customers and we got already some feedback. We added a fallback capability. So if there are no answers, right, that you can, for example, by default, always submit a generic ask HR, ask IT kind of um, request. We have added the capability to provide feedback like thumbs up or thumbs down that we can use for reinforced learning so that over time we get better with our answers and know how to better answer questions. We added things like approvals, right? So that you can actually, in a conversation, check the approvals that are assigned to you. You can and actually go in and approve something. So you do not need to navigate through the UI. To-dos can be worked on in this conversational interface. You can ask service health items, people attributes, and you get directly an answer. Also, something we added in the latest release 25.2 is what we call Snap Help. You can actually go in and, for example, if you have the DWP running on a mobile phone, you can take a picture and then we analyze the picture and do a knowledge search, right? An implicit chat with your knowledge and provide answer and feedback to the image. Very powerful use case, for example, in the retail space where you have lots of devices and where you could quickly take such a picture. I also want to talk about what's coming next for Employee Navigator. One thing that is currently missing a little bit is when we answer questions, we also need to go and look into the image itself, right? Sometimes we have knowledge articles that have an image explaining something and containing some additional text and explanation. So at the moment, we cannot extract this information. The same thing for videos. We want to go in and pull this information and leverage this to answer questions. We want to stream voice to the large language model directly. On the mobile device, for example, we can use voice to text. And last but not the least, we are working on actually screen sharing with the large language model, and we would like to come out with a Gen AI powered service desk, right? Where you actually have a conversation, you share your screen, you have a conversation, and you get feedback and help directly. Also, really powerful ticket deflection use case. I want to continue with the next agent. We call it Service Collaborator. It's available in ITSM and in business workflows. This is now assisting a service desk agent, a caseworker, and we have a side panel where you can summarize tickets. You get recommendations. How should you go about solving the issue? What should you tell the users, right? How do you resolve this ticket? Looking at knowledge articles to provide and generate this recommendation. We display the source of the information for some trust building. You can turn this on and off. It's a configuration. You click on it, and then it goes and cross launches, for example, and shows the knowledge article. Also here, we have customers using that in production, and we added a capability. So copy and email answers, right? So the agent was having a conversation in the Ask Helix GPT panel, got a great response, and quickly wanted to send out this as an email to the ticket requester, right, who submitted the ticket. We added pinning knowledge articles. We added intelligent routing. This is a support group prediction that eliminates ticket bouncing. We saw this in anonymized data from some of our customers who agreed to share their data with us. Then we started to replace global search with what we call agentic chat, where you can ask questions and actually work on cases. one feature that we also just released is we can automatically populate resolution nodes. Right, this is a generate use case or generate action where we look at an incident or a ticket and then generate the resolution node automatically. From a roadmap perspective, we're looking at predicting categories like ops categories, product categories, etc. Right? We want to get to fairly quickly from a strategy perspective to a fully qualified ticket, and that automatically without any manual work by the agent. Auto responding to emails is another ticket deflection use case. We can take a look at the email, understand the email, the user is asking for something, we run a query and ask GPT how would you answer this question, create an email out of it and send it back to the user, and then do not even create a ticket. We are also looking into how can we leverage the translation capabilities to support our customers that have multiple languages or need to support multiple languages. Um, so both of the agents that I talked about, the employee navigator and the service collaborator, actually depend on the quality of knowledge articles, right? I mentioned not everything needs to be a knowledge article. If it's a PDF document with a travel policy or vacation policy, it might be on a shared SharePoint site. Then we pull this information, leverage this information to answer questions. What we heard from our customers is that they need some help to make sure that the knowledge base is accurate and up to date. We added a capability and we introduced a knowledge curator agent that helps the knowledge base manager, whoever is responsible for the knowledge base. And one capability is validate an article. Here in the screenshot, we're showing that we can go in and say like, hey, validate this knowledge article, and then we do an automatic check if it complies with the KCS principle, for example. And then knowledge curator says like, hey, you need to update the title. Your internal notes are missing, right? The issue is not described correctly. There are typos, right? And Knowledge Curator can go and fix this automatically. The other thing that we added is a new capability in 25.2 that you can generate a knowledge article directly. We started providing this in business workflows for our Helix Knowledge Management by Comaround. We're going to add this for ITSM as well, and we are also adding the capability to create a knowledge article in business workflows slash IS knowledge. And this is generating a knowledge article. This is pulling all the information that we have in a case or later in a ticket and leverage this information to generate an article from scratch. And then the knowledge curator takes care of generating this article, making sure it conforms with the KCS principle, and then creates this article for you, saves it as a draft or work in progress in HKM by Comaround, and then it can follow through with the standard knowledge management process here. Very powerful tool about the data quality. We added another really cool agent. It's an administration assistant use case related to Digital Workplace Catalog. I mentioned that the Employee Navigator can submit service requests on behalf of the user. So having a great catalog with lots of service requests and hopefully a lot of them automated is really key for a successful digital workplace employee navigator deployment. So we created a capability where you can have a conversation, and based on the conversation, this catalog agent automatically creates the service request for you, right? It creates the description of the service request. It creates the questionnaire. And in this first version, we're using a static workflow that we use for all services. And we looked at this, what our customers are doing, and 80% of the workflows look very similar. So we did the 80% use case in the first place, but we generate this workflow and you can easily go in and change this workflow. So really powerful tool. And last but not the least, it can actually translate this service request into any language that you want in a matter of seconds. That was or is painful if you start creating your knowledge article in English and then you're asked to add additional languages like French or Spanish, or if and then you have to do the translation, and you're clicking a lot in the catalog UI. With this catalog admin assistant, it's actually really a matter of seconds, and then you can say like, okay, I need this in English and then in other languages, right? And then the agent just does it in the background, and no more clicking and navigating through the UI. Okay, so now I want to transition a bit to the vision demo part here. The first one I want to look at is what we call the CMDB governor. I already talked about data quality in the context of knowledge management. So for us, it's really important. How can we improve the quality of the CMDB? And I click on this, and then the recording of the vision demo starts. The key thing here is on the upper left, we are showing that the CMDB governor found a few CIs that have missing OS information. And this is now all about what should we do. Then you can actually go in and either approve directly and say like, okay, take a look at your recommendation. The recommendation was to add Red Hat Enterprise Linux, but you can actually go in and investigate, and then you get some more insights. Why did the CMDB governor come up with this recommendation? And then you could also still say like, I want to do some more investigation. You transition into a conversational experience and ask to investigate, and even say like, okay, find me some similar issues, analyze the root cause, right? And then the CMDB governor actually goes in and says like, hey, I found two more of these items. And then last but not the least, you can say fix the data. And then the CMDB governor automatically updates the CIs with the correct OS information, and you can mark this as resolved. And look at this, the quality score goes up, right? So because we resolved some issues. So that is the automated use case. But on the upper right-hand side, um, we have also an Ask Helix GPT panel that can be opened. Right, and that's what the recon is going to do. So I can actually manually go in and leverage the conversational AI and start investigating something, right? Maybe I saw something, hey, with this CI, what's going on, right? And I see I need to set the manufacturer, right? I can do this in a conversation. I don't have to go through the CMDB UI, right? And I can say like, oh, maybe there are more with an empty manufacturer, right? And then the CMDB governor says like, yeah, I found some more. And then I ask the question, hey, what is the root cause? Why are they empty? And I can continue with this analysis. This is also the end of the vision demo. So it shows that I have the two options here, right, to improve the data quality, but also at the same time this CMDB governor reduces the manual work required to be done, right? So I have again an agent that does work for me that I do not necessarily want to do, right? Going into multiple CIs and updating the OS would be a tedious task that I actually do not want to do, right? But I can have an agent doing that for me. So that is the CMDB governor. I want to move on to one more use case, and this is Microsoft Teams. And this is not bringing Employee Navigator, the end users, into Teams. This is about what we can call also chat ops or swarming. There actually we are working on a major incident or an incident in as a group together, and we have one team member, and that team member is here called HelixGPT, and we all work together resolving this issue. So it starts with a notification in Microsoft Teams, and then automatically we create a team and we add relevant people to this, and we provide some insights, what led to this notification. And then we can work in this conversational interface. We can type something, we can address directly Helix GPT and ask to pull information on this major incident and show it directly here in the UI and share it with everyone on this session. Well, we can ask like, okay, if it's a this type of issue, who can help resolving it? And this video runs fairly quickly here, right? We can get some recommendation who should be added to this, right? Here we automatically identified who could help and add them to the team here. And then you can go through kind of quite a number of ideas, right? Investigation, what is causing the issue, pulling some information here from AI Ops, for example, and showing that directly here in this Teams UI. Then we can do a root cause analysis, right? Helix GPT comes back and says like, this is the root cause, right? We need to get the network team involved, etc. And then we can automatically create a change, right? I mentioned this as an action, right? That I go through this fairly quickly, right? We can create a change request, review this, have some recommendations what should be done, and then create a change request automatically in the background. And then you can actually navigate back and forth. So the idea is you can move or navigate to the change request itself, take a look at it, and then actually schedule it and update the incident, the ticket itself. I want to continue with the presentation here. So this was a vision demo part of what this could look like. Last slide from my side before I hand it over is just summarizing how the our Helix GPT agents are transforming enterprise IT work. We talked a bit about self-service and how it's actually being transformed for real better outcomes, right? We are seeing a clear trend to move away or evolve portals to conversations. So we have this conversational AI. The goal here is very clear. We want to increase adoption for self-service. And I would say also personally, I'd like to do self-service, right? If I have an issue, I'd like to resolve it quickly, and I don't want to create a ticket being created and then someone follows up with me with a delay. And the organizational goal is deflect tickets. Then we want to enhance support and operations productivity. It's all about automation, augmented decision making, right? Either the agent takes a decision for me or provides all information that I need to make a decision. It's all about insights and oversights so that we take the right decision. And it goes back a little bit to what I said at the beginning. We want to, with this enhanced productivity, we want to actually get to work that we are not doing today. And the last item here is we want to enable rapid adoption of this technology, and we want to provide an open architecture, meet users where they work. This is the example Microsoft Teams. If they're in Teams, we want to provide our capabilities in Teams. We want to create agents to automate work, right? And we want this open architecture based on containers. It's the same functionality, right, across any cloud and even on-prem, right? It's the same functionality. So this wraps up my section, and now I want to hand it over to Shanice to get started with customer success feedback on how our customers doing with this implementation.
Yes, thank you, Jurgen. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharnice. I'm an associate software consultant. I've been working with BMC for almost 2 years now, and I customize many ITSM applications for customers. So Dell and I will be going over HelixGPT customer success benefits, success stories, lessons learned, and best practices. Next slide, please, Jurgen.
Mhm.
Thank you. Going into customer benefits, so HelixGPT combines AI-powered automation with BMC suite of ITSM tools, delivering a more efficient and proactive approach to managing IT services. It empowers businesses to improve customer service, decision-making, streamline operations, and reduce costs, all while keeping systems secure and compliant. Once a question is asked to the chatbot, it searches through the available search provider specified. When it finds a relevant knowledge article, it will provide the user with a solution based on the query. This has reduced the time IT teams spend on manual documentation. Next slide, please, Jurgen. Now for a few customer stories. A customer has indexed over 6,500 plus HCM articles and is using them to answer user questions, which is saving teams time when in the past calls were made and tickets were usually open. So when the user cannot find the service request they are looking for, the chatbot will ask them if they would like to submit a generic ticket. If needed, the end user can choose to connect to a live agent that will find the solution in real time. From an agent perspective, within HelixGPT, it summarizes the chat the end user had for the agent to have the full information when assisting the user. The agent can also utilize HelixGPT to see past tickets that were similar and use those solved cases to assist with the case at hand. These customer stories have resulted in customers saving costs and user agent satisfaction, time efficiency for many teams across the board. Thank you, and now I'll hand it over to Dell.
Jurgen, if you can go on to the next slide. Quick introduction. I'm Dale Jones. I've been with BMC. I'm coming up on 11 years, but I've worked with the ITSM Remedy products since version 1.1 back in the mid and early 90s. So some of the lessons learned that we came up with why we're implementing Helix GPT. Make sure you're on the latest version. We did this presentation 2-3 weeks ago, and some of those things were roadmap. And in today's presentation, they're live in 25.2. So it's changing rapidly, and the Agentic AI is actually helping us to develop a lot of these quicker. So it's get the latest version. You'll have the latest supported, the latest bug fixes. It gets rid of a lot of headaches, and it keeps you on track with what marketing and sales is selling. For token usage, it's important within the sizing of Helix GPT. We can scope you to a small, medium, large, but we also keep an eye on the token usage. We were using Langsmith, but there's several tools out there to keep an eye on that to make sure your usage is staying within your limits for your current LLM. Utilize out of the box or seeded prompts where appropriate. If you have to modify them, which you will, make a copy of it, of that out of the box prompt, and make the modifications to that copy. That just keeps the out of the box intact, and it gives you a reference point back if your modifications get out of hand. For BMC Helix GPT only searches across your configured data sources. It's not going to look in places that you haven't configured. Automatically, we're going to be easily configuring to HKM and RKM because those are our ITSM products. They're internal to what we ship. We live and breathe those products every day. But we also do support SharePoint, Confluence, Web. There's that extra configuration for those products because they're not in our cloud, they're not in our container. So there will be a network hop to them. There will be security to get to those. So there is that added extra bit of complexity when you get into whether it's a SharePoint or Confluence or Web. But we have customers going and pulling that data and leveraging it to get answers back. Next slide, Jürgen. So this is just one of the comments. If an unsupported language happens to a user connects and it's not one of our supported language, it's going to default to English. We do support all of the language that our ITSM applications support. Our Helix GPT also supports it. But if it does come across something that's not implemented, it will respond back in English. That's just the default setting. And next slide. So some of the best practices around configuring the prompts. Limit your topics to a knowledge domain, whether it's HR or IT. Try not to intermingle topics because it can cause hallucinations or cause data to be pulled from HR when it's meant to be pulling from the benefits of ITSM. So some of those keywords can bleed knowledge into different sources if you're pulling it together. Make sure you're using friendly, helpful, formal tones in your responses. Leverage confirmations when you're building your prompts. The data that's coming back in your answers, have the Helix GPT summarize it and bring it back to the end user in your prompts. Display your knowledge articles as paragraphs or bullet points or in a numbers list. You can control that, but you just want consistency in that knowledge article data coming back to the end users. Leverage headlines, especially when you've got long answers. It's more of a summarization that'll get displayed first and allowing that user to drill down into it. And like I stated earlier, we come with out-of-the-box rules for HKM and RKM. There'll just be additional configurations you'll need to do if you get into the Confluence or SharePoint or Salesforce or when you're querying web pages to get your answers back for your knowledge curation, not knowledge curation, for your Agentic AI or Helix GPT. So next slide. And I think we're heading into the Q&A.
Slide, yes.
So it's just we'll open it up for Q&A. We'll take a look at the web chat. And Jürgen, was there any other comments you wanted to bring in, or?
No, I think Sam is helping us.
I can hear. Yes. Hello.
Yeah, hey.
So we have a lot of questions actually that's come into the Q&A.
A lot of questions. Oh,
yes.
That's good. That's good.
I think one in particular of Srijith has asked a lot of questions, so I will try to find him so we can actually get these questions from him live as well. So Srijith, if you can hear us, I'm just giving you the ability to speak while I unmute everyone else. I will just start with his first question to get us started off. So his question was, are there any guardrails implemented on what GPT can access, for e.g. server information, IP address, etc.?
what GPT can access. Yeah, so we touched on this, right? This is about the data sources, I think, that question, right? And you need to give explicit access to GPT, right? To specific data, right? It's not crawling and finding things on your SharePoint. You're very specific and for data in knowledge articles, we in RKM, right, we kind of follow all the access rules, right? And we are not leaking any information that the user would not get through any other UI just because the conversational or generative AI is being used, right? So if that was about the how we are treating content.
Okay, and then there's another one from Srijith. Is there a way to restrict who can access GPT? For example, my team members can access X amount of information leveraging, whereas ABC can access only X minus one amount of information.
Yeah, you can configure this. This goes into the details. We have a tool called previously called Helix GPT Manager, now Helix GPT Agent Studio, I think. And in that, you configure various types of agents and you can provide access to them. And then Dale talked about prompting, and with the prompting and the configuration, which data sources an agent has access to, you actually have this under control.
Thanks, Jürgen. And another question, how is this any different from IBM Watson AI chatbot, which BMC previously used?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, this is you could say we replaced IBM Watson, right? You were able to create a chatbot using IBM Watson, but you had to go into the IBM Watson workspace and start creating conversational skeletons, and you need to define entities, intents, and then you had to do training, right? All of this is no longer necessary, right? You just create a simple prompt, and we are actually transitioning that to Agentic, right? To actually also reduce the need to create prompts. And you just quickly create this prompt. And we added a capability to auto-generate this prompt. So at the end of the day, you're actually just fine-tuning an auto-generated prompt, right? So the effort needed to implement this was dramatically reduced, and the results are actually way better. Right? Dale is nodding, right? If you want to add some more to that.
It's Watson, when you were configuring it, it was more of an if else in the background when you got down to it. It
Yeah.
didn't do anything. It followed your if else structure that you had to code, and it took a lot of time to set up and configure, and it didn't do anything that you hadn't predetermined the paths to go down. And we severely struggled with SharePoint, Confluence, web connections. We did a good job with HCAM and RKM there, but with Helix GPT, it's a huge step forward.
Thanks, guys. Srijit has been keeping you busy. He's got another question in here. Can GPT build DWP workflows too, based on the prompts or just questionnaire forms currently?
Um, in 25.2, it cannot generate a workflow. It uses a predefined workflow. I mentioned that it covers, based on our analysis, about 80%. An upcoming version will actually also create specific workflows. Right? So yeah, we started with the
Professional
low-hanging
services is
fruit.
starting to use that just to see in our scoping, well, can that reduce time to delivery of DWP services? So we're just 25.2. We just started getting it in our environments over the last couple of weeks. So it's a lot of playing right now.
Mhm.
Thank you both. Hopefully that's a thumbs up from Shri. So Chris has got a question for you. What would be good is reviewing previous resolution notes of similar tickets in the past, generate potential response to that case, also estimating if the case requires manual intervention and how much effort, etc. So I'm wondering if that's more like an idea. I don't know, Jürgen, your thoughts?
Um, okay, that was a lot in that question. So, um, can you repeat the question?
So I think it's more of a suggestion. And Chris, if you're still there, Chris Kong, what would be good is reviewing previous resolution notes of similar tickets in the past, generate potential response to that case, and also
Yes.
estimating if the case requires manual intervention and how much
Um,
effort.
Okay, yeah, it's probably a suggestion, but it's a really good one. So we are doing the data science work, right? When we look at tickets, we can look at the history, right? When we do our data science work, we look at what do we already have in the system, how were tickets resolved in the past, and then the other aspect is looking at the ticket itself, right? What do we have in the description in the work log, etc., and leverage this for a resolution node. But we can also look at knowledge articles and pull that information in. So yeah, we're playing a lot around with this from a data science work perspective. That's a real value add, by the way, that we're delivering with Helix GPT. You could argue, right? And there are lots of YouTube videos how you quickly use some data, right, or collect some data, train a large language model, and it can answer questions, right? This very very simple YouTube or use case is implemented fairly quickly, right? But the devil is in the detail. Like access control, who should be able to see what, right? These are things that are typically not discussed in these videos, and the logic, right? How do you actually populate a resolution node? Doing the data science work that these algorithms really work, making some recommendations, right? How should support group prediction work, right? We are doing the data science work so that our customers do not have to do this data science work.
Thanks, Jürgen. I'm very conscious we've got 20 open Q&A, so I'll try to get through a few of them, and maybe the rest of them we can take offline and send them via the Q&A blog post. So there's another question. What are prereqs needed to make CMDB governor work?
So CMDB Governor, that was a vision demo. So it's we will ship that later this year. In general, right, for our Helix GPT agents, the prereq is that a customer is on the corresponding version where we provide this capability, right? So it will be like you need to be on 25.3 or 25.4. And then at the moment, we ask our customers to bring their large language model and compute, right? And that applies to all agents, not only CMDB Governor, right? And then, of course, right, CMDB Governor looks at the quality what is currently in the CMDB, right? So that's what you need, and then you can get started with the CMDB Governor.
Thanks, Jürgen. Susie's asked a question for the to-dos and approvals in Employee Navigator. Can you advise when this will be available? For example, what platform version?
The to-dos and approvals was in 25.1, so February this year.
Okay, thank you. Greg Wilson's question, will there be voice to text or direct voice input for end users? Use cases, we have farmers that will be out on the farm only on smartphone and typing is not easy for them while out there.
So voice to text is already supported. So we are leveraging the capabilities of a smartphone, for example. You can, if you have Employee Navigator as part of Digital Workplace on your mobile phone, you can try this today. What we are working on is directly streaming voice to the large language model. Technically, with, for example, a model like GPT-4o, it is no longer necessary to convert something to text. You can actually directly stream the voice to the large language model. and we are working on this to add this directly to the product. But that is kind of a technology thing. If you use the device capability, voice to text, you can use that today.
Thank you. I'll take two more questions and the rest, sorry, if we haven't got through them, we
Mhm.
will get those answered and sent out. Manisha's question was, I'm new to BMC and an AI expert, so what to know if HelixGPT has been trained like any other LLMs in the market, but with proprietary data? Can we use HelixGPT in other functions of BMC?
Okay, one key thing here is we haven't shown an architecture slide, but we are not training the large language model. We're using we started with what's called retrieval augmented generation, which means that we do what's called a vector search, and then we create context, only send that to the large language model to generate the answer. We are in the middle of transitioning to what's called an agentic approach, where we provide the agents with a tool set, and one of that is search, right? Search the knowledge base, for example. So we continue to not train large language models. So none of the data in the BMC Helix platform is actually leveraged to use, for example, train Microsoft's large language model. So we are very particular about data of our customers not being used to train um, even public models or even private models, right? So for now, that is the approach that we are taking.
Okay, and we'll take one final question from Ali. How to get this implemented in secure environments like banks, insurance, and regulatory bodies where GPT access is not available?
So, well, that is probably answered with a roadmap, pointing at the roadmap. At the moment, we have a dependency for an LLM being available, and also for our on-prem customers. That currently means that the LLM is provided, for example, by Microsoft Azure in the cloud, and then our on-prem containers would connect to the cloud. However, we're looking into containers that could be deployed and run on-prem by our customers. We need to do some more work here. It comes with additional requirements, like your data center infrastructure and compute power that you actually have available. So at the moment, the answer is we depend on these providers, and we are really working hard on figuring out what the response is to that question.